Hey everyone, this is Julie with Adventure Explorations. We're back here in the AE office and we want to talk to you a little bit about what we believe is the greatest risk in recreating during the winter in the outdoors. So what we want to talk to you about is hypothermia and how to prevent it. So we're not going to get into the signs and symptoms of hypothermia, but we're going to talk to you about the 4 ways that you can prevent hypothermia. And those 4 ways are fuel, flee, fire, and fur. So the first one is fuel, which we consider food and water. So you want to make sure you're drinking frequently and snacking more than you would on a normal summer hike. So you want quick energy foods, sugars, and carbs are great. Make sure you're drinking a little more often than you would in the summer. The next one is flee. So by flee, we mean we want you to get out of whatever element it is that's making you uncomfortable. Is it the cold? Is it water? Or is it the wind? So to get out of the wind, we might want to put on a shell jacket. If we're in water, we're going to want to get out of that water. And the next one is fire. So it's always a good idea to carry some form of external heat source, whether you have the supplies to build a fire in the backcountry, or whether you carry a backpacking stove that you can then heat water up with to make tea or make hot jello. Any kind of external heat source is a great thing to have with you. So the 4th F of prevention is fur. And we have this acronym WISE, which is wicking, insulating, shell, and extra. So by wicking, we're talking about the layer that's closest to our bodies. So you can either do a long sleeve shirt like I have. There are full body wicking layers. And the reason we really want to concentrate on wicking during the winter is because it's going to pull the moisture away from your body. So in the winter, as we sweat, or if we were to fall into a stream, that layer is going to help to pull the moisture away from our body. If we're wearing something like cotton, which may be fine in the summer, in the winter that material is going to stay wet. So we want the layer closest to our body to really be able to pull moisture away from us. The I is insulating, so the layer that's going to go on over your wicking layer it could be a fleece sweater. It can be something like a jacket, a down or synthetic jacket. Just know down jackets, if they get wet, they tend to stay wet. But again, this isn't going to be our outermost layer. Another insulating layer can be a vest. So a vest is great because it's going to keep our core warm, but it's going to keep our arms a little bit more free. And then the S layer is our shell layer. So that layer, you're going to want that to be windproof, waterproof. This layer is usually pretty thin, but it's what's going to keep the wind and the rain away from our bodies. And then the E is extras. So when we're talking about extras, we're talking about extra layers of the things that we've already talked about. So you might want to have an extra fleece, you might want to have an extra jacket, but it's also all of the other extras. So things like sun protection, you want to definitely carry a hat, either a brimmed hat, a pair of sunglasses, and you want to think about sunscreen and chapstick. So even though it's winter, we're not thinking about getting sunburnt. The reflection off the snow can be more intense than the sun in the summer, so you want to think about chapstick and sunscreen. The next, what we always carry with us when we're hiking is our first aid kit. And one additional item that you're going to add to your first aid kit in the winter is a space or an emergency blanket. These are just a couple of ounces. Throw that in your first aid kit. You may need it in an emergency. The next is gloves. So you may want a pair of thicker gloves like this. A lot of times we like to hike in just like a thin pair of liner gloves. It keeps our hands a little bit more mobile. We usually like to carry a pair of gloves in our backpack plus the ones that we're wearing. You're going to want some kind of hat, a beanie, or a headband, something that's going to keep your head warm. We lose a lot of heat through our head, so covering it is super important. We also always like to carry headlamps with us in the winter. The days are shorter, dark can kind of sneak up on us, so we always carry a headlamp with us as well. Something like an insulated seat pad is just a few ounces, something that you can throw in or on your backpack. We lose a lot of heat when we sit down on the ground when we take breaks, so by putting this insulating pad between us and the ground, we'll save all of that heat. And then finally, we want to make sure that we bring a map with us. So this isn't the time to go out and try a new trail, try a trail that you're not familiar with. Really, the key point here is to know before you go. There are certain trails that you're going to go on that may require additional equipment that you may not be prepared for. So things like ice screws, ice axes, crampons, helmets, static rope. So you want to check in with the place that you're recreating and see if there's any additional equipment that you need that's specialized for that specific area.